Welcome to the Bible Forum. I'm Warren Sprouse. Thomas Sowell appeared recently on the Mark Levin show. Remember Thomas Sowell? He said that even though he is regarded as pessimistic, he was, quote, never pessimistic enough to think things would degenerate to the point where they are now, where adult human beings are talking about getting rid of the police, end of quote. He said, I've never dreamed we'd come to that point. It just seems such utter madness. And what is frightening is how many people in responsible positions are caving in to every demand that is made, repeating any kind of nonsense that you're supposed to repeat. Mark Levin was his show, asked Sowell about the left's claim that America is beset by systemic racism. Thomas Sowell is a black man. Levin says, what does that mean? And whatever it means, is it true? Sowell responded by saying it really has no meaning that can be specified and tested in the way that one tests hypotheses. The currency of the phrase reminds me of the propaganda tactics of Nazi Germany, based on the premise that if a lie is repeated long enough and loud enough, it would be widely believed. Levin said most of the protesters don't live in the communities they claim to support, and instead live among the people they claim as oppressors. He's continued by saying they're absolute hypocrites. They claim they want equality for all. They claim they'll be withering away of the there will be withering away of the police departments, and yet every time you look at a Marxist state, it's an authoritarian, top-down, centralized police state. Sowell agreed, saying that activists who claim to be casting off racial and class differences end up only creating their own nomenclature and establishing their own hierarchies. Levin went on to ask what he saw in the Biden election to the presidency. Sowell said, what I see is if the election goes to Biden, then there's a good chance that the Democrats will then control all two branches of Congress and the White House. And considering the kinds of things they're proposing, that can well mean the point of no return for this country. Sowell said phrases used by the left, such as systemic racism and system oppression, don't really mean anything. You hear it on our college campuses, you hear it from the very wealthy and fabulously famous sports stars, but what does it mean? And whatever it means, is that true? Levin asked. Sowell said, I have never understood why it is greed to want to keep the money you have earned, but not greed to want to take somebody else's money. When you want to help people, you tell them the truth. When you want to help yourself, you tell them what they want to hear. And it's amazing how much panic one honest man can spread among a multitude of hypocrites. A quote from Thomas Sowell on what are the dangers of the social justice vision. He says, the undeniable fact that life has never been remotely fair, in the sense of presenting equal likelihoods of achieving economic prosperity or other benefits, has led many people to conclude that human biases are the reason. He said there is no question that human biases have contributed to unfair prospects. But it is a complete non sequitur to say that human biases are the sole or even primary causes of unequal prospects without hard evidence to support the conclusion. When there are major disparities in outcomes among men who are all in the top 1% in IQ and among siblings raised under the same roof, as well as discriminated against minorities being more economically successful than those discriminating against them, as happened in the Ottoman Empire, in many Southeast Asian countries and much of Eastern Europe, for example, the insistence on believing that human biases are the primary cause of disparities in outcomes ignores a vast range of evidence to the contrary. A bit of logic and reason in the midst of intense chaos. But those who are creating the chaos either will never hear what Sowell said or absolutely never believe it. That's where we live. It's la la land.